Welcome back, guys, or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous, and that's the brand new 2025 Chevy Trax. This is the first year of the 4th generation, so these are fresh off the press, and it costs a little bit over $30,000. This one specifically is an LS trim level, so it's front-wheel drive with a CVT and a 1.5-liter turbo engine. So this is just going to be an extra bonus video, mostly focusing on the driving impressions and getting through more information than I can usually share in my full review just for time's sake. So I'll give you a quick walk around of it over the next minute or so, and then we'll take it on the road and talk about why this actually handles and drives and feels like a lot more value than what I was kind of forming an opinion of just from reading up on it. It actually surprised me a little bit just driving it over here, and I think this might be a vehicle that you could be interested in. If you guys like anything you see today, please consider liking this video. Comment your thoughts and opinions below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you think you're going to be one of the 200,000 to 300,000 people who buy the Equinox every year, let me know in the comments why that is. Otherwise, this is your key. You have lock, unlock, remote start, power liftgate. So let's start the power liftgate. Back here you have, oh, I guess maybe I held the button a little bit too long. Is it playing temperamental games with us today? It's not the smoothest opening, so just assume there was some human error right there. But overall, this is about 30 cubic feet of room. Just like the EV version, you have some extra hidden storage down there for your valuables. You can flip the tray back over and put some weight on that loading surface. LED lighting, privacy shade could go in here. And if you drop the seats, you have about 64 cubic feet. So it's not as spacious as a Rav4 or a Forester, but it is more spacious than a CX-5 or a CX-50. Otherwise, let's lower that down and move on to the back seats. This is a compact crossover class of vehicle, which usually means the back seats are what get left behind. But the doors do open pretty wide, maybe not as wide as some of the other crossovers, but wide enough that the average person could easily get inside. At 5'11", I actually have a lot of room in front of my knees. I have a mat pocket, ventilation, although those are tiny size vents, a little bit of storage down there, and some USB Type-C plugins with an armrest. Windows are large enough that you can see out. Headroom is spacious enough that I can have a good time. And with that said, let's hop into the front, fire it up, and then we'll take it for a drive. Door panel, it looks pretty good. A lot of darker gray and black materials in here. But when we do get inside, use the push button start. The 1.5 turbo engine roars to life. You'll notice you have 2 giant screens on this one. Something that I think is interesting, which I don't like, is that you have to go through the screen to turn on your lights. So yep, we have headlights turned on. There's no lighting stock or buttons or anything on the side, which is a bummer. But what I do like is that you can turn on the camera, and you have a 360-degree camera, and you can even leave that thing on while you're driving. Otherwise, visibility is pretty good. The hood slopes down low. The side mirrors are huge. You have blind spot monitoring, a lot of adaptive cruise settings, and lane keep assist. You have some paddle shifters on the back, and overall it's a pretty nice place to be. The seats are not super bolstered, but it's basically what you get on a crossover. You're not going to be cornering super fast, so it's about what you can expect. Otherwise, this is the new stock, and it's kind of like an old school Chevy truck, which I love. To go into drive, you push it in and drop it down, and you'll probably hear that the door lock's engaged. But with that said, let's get out of this gravel pit, and let's have some fun with this. 175 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot, but this vehicle also only weighs around 3,300 to 3,600 pounds, depending on all the bonus features you're getting and how well it's spec'd. So the power delivery, at least when it's only me in the vehicle, it does feel pretty adequate. And one of the best, maybe even the class-leading features that this has is the payload capacity is actually rated for 1,142 pounds, which is insane. Some crossovers are 300 pounds less than that. So with those big back seats and the 30 cubic feet of room behind the second row, you can really fit a lot of stuff. You can also put some stuff on your roof rails. But overall, being up to the speed limit, it does handle pretty well. Let's get cruise control turned on. All right, we're set. Let's maybe go down to 60. And let's see how this thing does. So far, doing a really good job keeping us in the lane. This is very much just a straight, boring road. All right, it let us go off the side. So do we have lane keep assist on this one? You know, that might be a higher trim level. This is the lowest trim level of the current 4th generation Equinox. And I'm not seeing anything like that here. Usually there's a button that has 2 lines on it so that you can also disengage that if you don't like that feature. But at least the adaptive cruise seems to be working. It's not fluctuating speed too drastically, and you don't hear a lot of engine revving or roaring or fluctuations there for how the transmission is tuned. It looks like we're hanging out at around 1800 RPM, so that is higher revving than some other crossovers. But again, this is a tiny engine. A 1.5 liter turbo, that's like what the CR-V is doing. A lot of other vehicles like the CX-5, the 50, the Forester, those still have a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated engine. So this little engine is going to have to rev out a little bit more and work a little bit harder, and hopefully it's as reliable or more so than the old Ecotec 1.4 liter engines. But I guess time will tell. Chevy has been using this engine for quite a while, and they've really invested a lot in these tiny little engines. So at least parts are abundant, maintenance is hopefully pretty easy. But anyways, let's see how this corners and how well it brakes. I'll give it maybe half brake pedal right here. A little bit of nosedive, but overall very smooth, much more so than a body-on-frame SUV. Corners, pretty good actually for front-wheel drive. It does feel like the rear is just tailing behind you because the rear wheels on this one, not being the all-wheel drive example, they're not really helping to push you forward, so they're just being dragged along while the front wheels pull you forward. But I do have to say, the heated steering wheel, it's heated 360 degrees everywhere I can feel it, and it actually is getting really hot now that I've had this car on for quite a while. Also, the heated seats in this, they do turn off when you turn off the vehicle, but the heated steering wheel seems to stay on. The seats, they're not quite as hot as Mazda's, but they do feel very warm and probably warm enough for the average person. And overall, it's just a joy to drive with all the electronics, all the extra technology you get, even on the base model. You feel like you're in something luxurious. Really, the trade-off is that you have a CVT and a tiny little engine that you hope are going to be reliable, but I guess that's what warranties and extended warranties are for. So if you don't need all-wheel drive, a $32,000 vehicle like this is actually a pretty nice place to be. See how it handles this corner right here? Yeah, it stays in its lane, it handles well, it tracks straight. The speakers on this are not bad. They're not fantastic. There's not like super good depth and stuff, but it's what you expect for a $32,000 car. So basically nothing has negatively surprised me on this. I've only been positively influenced by it, and I think it drives and handles better than I was actually expecting, especially with just how well it's done altogether. Good storage space, good cup holders, nice comfortable seats, at least in the time I've had with this vehicle. It can do a full circle in the mid-upper 30-foot range, so it is fairly agile on its feet. And overall, I think it's a good vehicle. So if you guys got anything out of this quick impromptu bonus driving video, please consider liking this. Subscribe if you want to watch more stuff. Comment your thoughts and opinions below. I'll also have a full review of this, which has probably already been posted, as well as a comparison to a similarly priced Subaru Forester, which is also a new generation for this year. Otherwise, check out Twin Falls Chevy. They sell at or below MSRP on everything. They ship all over the country, and they're a fantastic dealership to work with. And with that said, I wish you guys the best. Hope to see you on the next one, and until then, take care.